All right, good morning, sixth graders. I hope you guys had a great weekend. We are moving into our last week of normal classes for you guys. Remember, we only have regular classes till Wednesday. Your last assignment I will be assigning Thursday, and it is not due until the following Wednesday. So you have a few days to finish it. It is a complete review of our year, but it does not have a ton of questions. Each question is important and assesses the skill that you learn for each one of those chapters, and that is all that we are going to be doing. So the last few lessons on this chapter are important, and it will finish up. It looks like we have a couple of chapters that we did not get to. One was measurement, and then the other was probability, and I believe it was only those two that we didn't get to because we did a very important one, which was integers, while we were still at school. So I'm really glad that we made that choice. So today we're going to be talking about changing percentages, decimals, and fractions, and changing them from one thing into another. So we're going to be doing 4 things today, and I'll try to go through this as quickly as possible so that it doesn't waste a ton of time. So the first one we're going to learn about is changing a decimal to a percentage, changing a percentage to a decimal, changing a fraction to a percentage, and then changing a percentage to a fraction. So we're going to be learning about how to take 2 things and change them back and forth in between. And so I'll go through these one at a time, and you can use these for reference for your work today. If you need to go back to this video, you can kind of go to where we talk about each one. You can pause it there and go through that individual example that I give to you. So hopefully this is helpful for you guys. So the first one we're going to talk about is changing a decimal into a percentage. Now remember, decimals, percentages, and fractions are just part of a whole, the whole being 1 for a fraction, or the whole being 100%. So this, oh, my dog saw a crow, sorry about that. So a decimal is going to be part of 100% of something. So say for this one, 71, this is our decimal. If it was a whole, it would have a 1 right here. So 71 is part of that whole number. So to get a percentage for this, we're just going to multiply it by 100. So this is all you're going to do to find a percentage. So we're going to multiply 0.71 times 100. Now we can do quick mental math of this. We did this near the beginning of the year. If you have 2 zeros, you're just going to take this decimal point and you are going to move it to the right 2 places. So if you have 2 zeros, take this and move it over 1, 2, and you're going to get the number 71. That is the percentage. So for percent, changing a decimal to percent, all you have to do is multiply it by 100 and you would get 71%. Now that's by far the easiest one. That is not difficult at all. So if you had the number, say 50, this is the decimal 50, you're going to multiply it times 100 and you are going to get 50%. That is all you're going to do for that one. We're going to move on to the next one. The next one that we're going to talk about is changing a percent to a decimal. So we just changed a decimal to percent. Now we're going to go the opposite way. And you guys know that when we want to figure out something in the opposite way, whatever we did the first way, we do the exact opposite of it. So to go from a decimal to percent, we multiplied it by 100. To go the opposite way, we're going to do the opposite thing. Instead of multiplying the number by 100, we are going to divide it by 100 to get the decimal. Again, it's easy with this because we're dealing with the number 100. When we divide or multiply, we're looking at those zeros there and either moving it to the right if we're multiplying. If we divide, we just move the decimal place to the left when we're looking to try to get the decimal. So for example, on this one, we're going to do 60%. So to get the decimal, we are going to divide it. So we're going to divide 60 by 100. So again, you're going to look at how many zeros here. Now instead of in multiplication, we would take that and move it to the right 2 spaces. we're going to take the decimal, which is right here. It's the unseen one, so it's right at the end. We're moving it to the left. If we move it to the left 2 spaces, it's going to go right there. So when we divide 100 into 60, we are going to get 0.60. So 60% is the same thing as saying 0.60, okay? We'll do one more of that. So if I have the number 23% right here, to get a decimal, we're going to divide 23 by 100, but you can do mental math, okay? This is just to show you what you're doing. You can just do mental math and know, okay, if I'm dividing by 100, I'm going to take this unseen decimal point that's right there and just move it like this. So our answer is 0.23. All right, so moving it from decimal to percent or percent to decimal is actually pretty easy because you're dealing with the number 100. You're just moving that decimal point either 2 points to the right and putting percent, or moving it 2 points to the left and using a decimal there. Okay, the next one we're going to talk about is changing a fraction to percent. So we did decimals and percents. Now we're going to do fractions and percents, and again, it's not really difficult. You just have to remember whether you're multiplying or doing division on most of these. So we have a fraction here that's 3 over 5, or we're comparing 3 to 5, and we want to know what the percent is. Now remember, when you have fractions, to get a decimal, this is not new for us, okay? We learned about how to change a fraction to a decimal many months ago. What you're going to do is you're going to divide this bottom number into this top number, and that's how you get a decimal. So if you have 3 over 5, you're going to divide 3 divided by 5, okay? So you're just going to divide that 5 into 3, so it's going to be 3 divided by 5 equals, and if you actually divided those into each other, it's going to come up to be 0.6, okay? 0.6. Now a percentage, remember, if it's asking for a percentage, so we figured out the decimal part of it. Once you have a decimal, you can figure out the percentage. A percentage, remember what we just learned, you multiply the decimal times 100 to get the percent. So you're going to move this over 2 spots, which is 1, 2, right there. You're going to put your 6 or your 0 in there, right? So now you have 60%. And that's how you would get a fraction into a percent. So this is what we started with. We're going to divide 3 divided by 5. Remember, you can use your calculators. And you're going to get 0.6. Now we're looking for the percentage. So once you have 0.6, to get the percent, you're multiplying it by 100. So you can do mental math and just move that over 2 spots and you would get 60%. So 3 is 60% of 5. That's how you do that, okay? All right, and this is the last one. We're going to learn how to change a percent to a fraction. So what we just did before was change a fraction to percent. So we're basically going to do the opposite of what we did. Again, none of this is difficult processes. You just have to remember which one to do for each thing. So we're going to start with the example of 40%. 40% is what out of 100? We're going to write it as a fraction. 40% is actually just 40 out of 100. That's pretty easy. That's the fraction. We do have to put it in lowest terms. So 40% is just 40 out of 100. So we're just going to reduce that down into a lower fraction, as low as it can go. And we get 2 over 5, because 20 can go into both 40 and 100. 20 can go in it 2 times, 20 can go in 5 times. And here is your answer. Now 40 over 100 is a correct fraction, but you can reduce it to 2 over 5. And that's how you change percent into a fraction. You're going to take the percent and put it over 100. And I'm going to show you how quick you can do that. So if you want to change 50% into a fraction, you're just going to put 50 over 100. 50 over 100 you can reduce to 1/2. And that makes sense because 50% is half of 100%. That's all you're going to do to change a percent into a fraction. I know it's kind of a lot of information to go through this quickly, but we are already 10 minutes into this video and I don't want it to take too long. We are going to be on page 289 for your work. And we are going to be doing 16 through 35, and I want you to do them all. A lot of these are just doing mental math. Literally, you're just going to take that decimal point and move it over to change it to a decimal, or move it this way to change it to a percent. It's actually super fast. So at the top of page 289, there are a bunch of examples of how I did each one of those. So you can refer back to this video or at the top of that page. I will be on all day. If you have any questions, I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. All right, you guys have a great day.